So the Cleveland Cavaliers playoff run is officially over. They lost to the Boston Celtics in 5 games last night. I think most people knew that the Celtics were going to win this series. Some people thought the Celtics were going to sweep the Cavs. Obviously they didn't, but in the end they still won. And now the Cavaliers are going to enter one of the biggest off seasons they have had as a franchise, in my opinion, since the days of LeBron and when he announced that he was going to the Heat. And then the second time when he basically was announced that he was going to the Los Angeles Lakers. This is going to be one of those off seasons for the Cavs, except for around Donovan Mitchell. Now, after the Cavs lost last night, there were numerous rumors surrounding this team that came out reported by Shams. And there are some ones that, as a Cavs fan, personally, I'm worried about. And some of them I'm just intrigued about. Now, obviously, the biggest rumor is surrounding Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, there's a lot of trade rumors that we have seen pretty much all season surrounding Donovan Mitchell, and right now nobody really knows what to think of him. There are some people that think he's legitimately going to leave this off season, and there are some people that think that he's legitimately going to resign this off season. Right now, I wish I could say I really knew what he was going to do. Personally, I think there's a good chance he's going to resign, but I think there's a good chance that he could leave. Personally, I don't think anybody knows what this team could do right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen right now. But if we look at Shams, there's a lot of growing optimism that he is going to resign according to Shams. But as of right now, it is really hard to look at with this team's direction right now. Meanwhile, the Cavs' other guard is going to have a decision to make. And I've said this for a while now. I've said depending on what decision Donovan Mitchell makes, that's going to change a lot for this team. I said if Donovan Mitchell stays, Darius Garland is most likely going to sit. If Donovan Mitchell goes, Darius Garland obviously stays. And that is exactly what's apparently happening here. And according to reports, if Donovan Mitchell does indeed sign with the Cavs, re-sign with the Cavs, Darius Garland will most likely request a trade because of his agent, Rich Paul. Now, here's the thing I've always said about Darius Garland. I've said that Darius Garland dealt with a lot this season. He dealt with some things that obviously hindered him, in a lot of ways. I think I heard his grandma passed away and he dealt with a couple of injuries, obviously, this season. Now, am I going to say, okay, looking at that, do you get an excuse for how you played in the playoffs? No, not so much. But am I obviously going to take that into account as well? Yeah, so I'm going to say it's a little bit balanced. I think, just him not playing well was the reason what happened. And I think those injuries, and I also think what happened with his grandma is also affected him in a lot of ways this season. But again, that's just simply my opinion on that. So pretty much, Darius Garland's future with this team all depends on what happens with Donovan Mitchell to this point. And with Darius Garland having the richest contract in franchise history and only averaging 18 points this season, yeah, that's gonna alarm a lot of people, obviously. And if you were worried about Darius Garland, I wouldn't blame you. Meanwhile, I feel like the only person on this roster right now, or part of our lineup right now, that has nothing to worry about right now is probably Evan Mobley. He's going to be on the Cavs roster next season, barring a setback or something like that. I feel like he's going to be on the Cavs roster. But there's one other person that means that I talk about, and it's obviously Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen was pretty much all-star light this season. He was going to be probably an all-defensive player, or at least, up for consideration for it. And he was legitimately rocking during the playoffs this season. But then in that Game 4 series against Orlando, he got hit in the ribs by Franz Wagner, and it apparently pierced his ribs. And the Cavs series after that was really not the same. Obviously, they still beat the Orlando Magic, but you have to think if Jarrett Allen, played in the rest of those games, that series would have not gone to 7 games. But now that brings in the consideration. With Evan Mobley playing so great at center, with it being pretty clear that right now Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley can't really mesh well together. When I say they can't mesh well together, Evan Mobley, it seems like he can't develop when Jarrett Allen is on the floor playing next to him, and that's really, gonna be a pretty tricky situation to have. Jarrett Allen is a great player. He is gonna be, like I said, an all-defensive player. Not all defensive player. Yeah, all defensive player worthy guy. But at the end of the day, you look at Evan Mobley. This guy's only 22 years old. And when you see the way he played in the playoffs when Jarrett Allen was off the floor, that's going to bring in a lot of questions for the Cavs. Do you want to keep Jarrett Allen despite everything that's going on right now? Or do you want to look towards the future and start building towards Evan Mobley and start carving out this generator type path that you had for him coming into the draft in, 2021? And I get if you're a Cavs fan watching this who loves Jarrett Allen. Personally, I love Jarrett Allen, but it's tricky at the end of the day, and this is questions we've had since last year. Do you want to trade Jarrett Allen and start developing Evan Mobley? I know nobody wants to talk about that for the most part if you're a Cavs fan because of how popular and how loved Jarrett Allen is. But at the end of the day, the Cavs are going to have to make a big trade regardless. There's almost a 75% chance, maybe even higher than that, that either Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen, or Donovan Mitchell is not on this team next season. I fully believe that one of those guys will not be on this roster next season, in my opinion. Now, here's what's going to make the situation even more tricky. Apparently, members of the organization wanted Darius Garland to take an injection, basically Toradol. And if you don't know what Toradol is, basically it's something that numbs the pain for a couple of hours. So players or athletics of any kind can play. And apparently they wanted Jarrett Allen to take that and try to play. However, Jarrett Allen apparently refused the injection. And obviously this caused a lot of players and a lot of people around the organization to be upset with Jarrett Allen and get the idea that, okay, this guy obviously doesn't care, I guess. Really, everybody except Evan Mobley on our roster right now has a story coming out about him. Jarrett Allen with the whole injections, Darius Garland about him gonna request a trade if Donovan Mitchell stays, and obviously Donovan Mitchell just being Donovan Mitchell and his whole trade rumors basically. However, one person in particular whose seat is really hot right now is, yep, you guessed it, JB Bickerstaff. Now, here's the thing with JB Bickerstaff. I am going to give him all the credit in the world at the end of the day for what he's done with this team. He's given this team a new look at life. He has given this team a new lift at life. But at the end of the day, I don't think this guy is going to lead this team pretty far. And there are a lot of reasons why I don't like JB Bickerstaff. I think his rotations are pretty awful. Like putting George Niang into the game at any moment is not going to help this team. Let's keep it a buck. I don't think he's had the best development on a lot of our players. Like Evan Mobley, in my opinion. Darius Garland hasn't even had the best development since, I think his third year in the league, honestly. And basically everybody except Donovan Mitchell hasn't really developed all the way. You can even blame him or give him credit for Donovan Mitchell's development. Because it's Donovan Mitchell. He doesn't deserve any credit for that, obviously. But there were a lot of rumors about JB Bickerstaff as well. There were a lot of points in this article where it said teams or members of the team were frustrated with JB Bickerstaff. Here are a few of them. Now, April 7th, when they faced the Clippers, they had a 26-point lead on the team, and they ended up blowing that lead and losing to the Clippers. And players openly questioned JB Bickerstaff's defensive strategy. But basically, when I look at this article, basically there are a number of points where teammates and everybody else was basically frustrated with JB Bickerstaff's coaching, and that is not something you want to see at any point, seeing players that are constantly frustrated with your strategies, and that's obviously a huge red flag. So if I had to be honest right now, the Cavs are going to be in a lot of trouble. They're going to be in a lot of trouble this offseason. They're going to have a lot of questions, and they're going to have a lot of questions that need to be answered pretty quickly, and they're going to have a lot of questions that can be answered pretty early on, honestly. From Donovan Mitchell to Darius Garland to Jarrett Allen to JB Bickerstaff, yeah, this team has a lot of question marks on their roster right now. And it's crazy how quickly this team went from being one of the possible bigger bright spots in the East to one of the better teams with the best futures in the NBA to now getting to this point. It's going to be a wild ride. As of right now, with JB Bickerstaff, they said his job is in serious jeopardy according to Shams. But as of right now, Woj also reported that they're going to take some time to, consider what they're going to do with his job. Now, if I had to be a betting man, I think he's going to keep his job. Do I want that to happen? No, but I think it's going to happen. Now, one more report I'm going to read as I end this video off about JB Bickerstaff. This is what the article said. In trying to do everything they can to persuade Mitchell to accept a 4-year deal extension this summer, the Cavs need their star player to feel comfortable with the long-term direction of their franchise, which includes the coach. Multiple league sources have said for months Mitchell did not have great confidence in Bickerstaff, and he was not alone. Several players questioned Bickerstaff's strategies, game management, practice habits, and accountability measures privately and publicly throughout the season. Yeah, if that wasn't a red flag already, it definitely is now. So it's going to be a painful offseason for the Cavs, if you're a Cavs fan especially. And right now, the only thing we can do is just sit back and observe, because nobody really knows right now what direction this team is going to go into, honestly. Hopefully, we get things right, we get things settled. But as of right now, it's going to be a painful one. I'm not here for it, but we got to go through it, honestly. So y'all let me know in the comments down below what you think about the Cavs and what direction they should go to in this season. Feel free to drop y'all's thoughts in the comments down below if you haven't yet. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Tap the bell icon for future basketball content. Yeah, we're getting back to it. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.